Record. And then we will go over to,
I remember doing this back in the pandemic.
yeah.
I did like a women's winter experience, and I'd go on Zoom, go on Facebook. I had no idea what I was doing, or
Yeah.
even before that, when I had
Timeline.
like some race director friends on, I had like Eva and Delmo and Dave McGilvery, and then the president of USA Triathlon at that time, just to like keep us,
Yeah.
all
right. It's
kind of going,
Yeah. Yep. For sure. For sure. Setting up your meeting, preparing, redirecting.
Yeah, I remember that.
All right. I think we did it. For sure. Setting up your meeting, preparing, redirecting. Excellent.
Yeah, there's this.
Right. I'm preparing, redirecting. Excellent.
There's this.
Okay. All right. Oh, I'm getting some like weird feedback. Hopefully this is not a. Oh, I'm getting some like. Oh, hold on a second. We are live. We are figuring things out here a minute. I've got some funky feedback going on. I think I know how to fix that. Hopefully, we're going to find out in a minute. When I did this on my own earlier, I was by myself, so I wasn't making any extra noise.
That's fine.
Does it sound funny to you, Rachel?
It did, but now it doesn't.
Okay. All right. Let's hope that that's the case. All right. So here we are.
Do you have like an app open on your phone? Or is it like on another?
Oh wait.
Is it on another page?
There we go. I think I fixed it.
Okay.
There we are. Yay! All right. Yay. All right. Hey, this is part of, life and figuring things out. You just figure it out along the way. And sometimes you do it right, sometimes you do it wrong, but you figure it out. Like that's what it's all about.
What you do.
So that's right. So this is our first live in this series. I'm hoping I didn't like turn it off. I'm just going to double check. Okay. Yes. Yeah. It looks like it's still live. Okay. Perfect. All right. Well, here we are. All the debacles of going live, streaming through Zoom. We're learning about that all today, but that's part of how we just keep moving forward, right?
Yep.
And a huge thank you to Rachel for being the first guest on this Women Leaders Moving Forward Together created series that I've created. When I heard about the theme for the Women's History Month, it just spoke to me and I was so inspired, and I reached out to a whole bunch of people in the community, different women leaders who I respect and who have inspired me along the way. And I thought that we can just share forward some inspiration for all the other women. So we'll get started. If for those of you who don't know me, I am Adina O'Neill. I am the founder of Team Be Real, where we build belief, belonging, and confidence in all athletes. And today I am joined by Rachel Martin, who is the race director of the Pumpkin Man Triathlon and Running Festival. And Rachel, I am going to let you introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are, what you do.
Okay, thank you. And actually, thank you so much for doing this series, because it's so important and it was awesome. And when you reached out, I was like, yes, of course. Anytime we can elevate women's voices, that's great. But yes, so I am the owner of the Pumpkin Man Triathlon and Running Festival, presented by Run Tribe Bike this year. And I also produce another event called Rick's Run 5K in honor of my dad, in support of veterans on Memorial Day weekend, the Friday of Memorial Day. It's a 5K run walk. But the Pumpkin Man is our flagship event, and it is an amazingly community supported event. It is one of like the biggest events that our town has. And it's so amazing. And we have a sprint and an Olympic triathlon on Saturday. And then we have a 6 distance running festival on Sunday. And we have given close to $450,000 back to the community over 19 years.
That's awesome. And I can attest to the vibe at the race. I have been there twice, once just as once as a participant and once as a support crew for a friend of mine. So I definitely can attest to the vibe and the excitement at that event. So thank you for making such an awesome event, and I think it's great that you give back to the town. The first question that I wanted to ask, I'm going to ask it anyway, although we may have just kind of let it out of the bag, but how did we connect?
Oh my gosh, we connected through endurance sports. I mean, and get and endurance sports is so good for like not only like regular connections with all sorts of people, but especially women. Like when you can find your women and your people, it's amazing what it can do for you, because every time you sign up for something and you cross the finish line, it's actually just the beginning. So
love it.
I know, right?
Yeah,
it is. It's just the beginning of something more.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good segue into, so the theme for this year's Women's History Month is moving forward together, women educating and inspiring generations. Which, I love how you said when you cross the finish line, it's really just the beginning. We're still going to keep moving forward. I'd like to hear, what does that mean to you when you hear that theme?
Of women, like moving forward?
So the theme is moving forward together, women educating and inspiring generations.
Yeah. So it's almost like I take that with such it's such an enormous amount of responsibility too. That line, this just came to me, but that line in Hamilton where it's like history has its eyes on you. Like I feel like now more than ever, like we're kind of like history has its eyes on you. But I feel like it does, like for all of like the women, like it's our job and it's our responsibility to like empower the next generations. And if you can inspire and lead with like love and encouragement, and that there's nothing that you can't do. I mean, it's so important, and it's important to see and to show like girls and women that you can try for something, and while you're on that journey of trying for something, you can fail, because guess what? Failure is part of the process. Like it's okay. It's okay not to like, do you feel like sometimes, like, especially in today's world of social media too, like girls feel like they have to be like this perfect. There is no perfect.
But one of the reasons I wanted to do this on social media was to provide a positive and very real and authentic view of women, because what we see so often on social media is not authentic. And it is really tough for young women and girls to kind of, figure out, well, what's real, what isn't real, because so much of what they see on social media, like you mentioned, is just, it's kind of really tough to weed that out. And also not to be kind of overwhelmed by it. Our generation was certainly overwhelmed by it through television, but social media it's next level. It's just in your face.
I can't imagine having grown up with it.
No.
I can't imagine. It was interesting. I know we're talking about something different, but I was having a conversation with my daughter at lunch today, who's going to be 27. And we were talking about the impact of phones and social media and all that stuff and what it's having. And as she gets ready to have kids, she's like, mine are not having it, because her generation was almost like the guinea pig generation. She had an iPhone at the end of high school. And so they were that generation. She's like, yeah, no, all of us are like, we don't want to raise iPad babies.
Yeah. And it's really hard to manage, because my children were middle school age when everyone was getting phones at middle school age. And if you were the holdout, then kids really felt isolated.
They did.
And because that was a huge part of their social interaction. So hopefully, and it'll come in a full circle that, it'll still be there and be useful, but maybe not be as overpowering.
And I think that's what's so great about, like with our events is that like it's very welcoming, like for everybody, and it's so important like on your journey to have something like not on social media, right? It's something real in your life that you can strive for. You can set a goal and you can, make your way to that finish line. And what's so great about like our events is that we're very inclusive. We're very like, all right, you can be a pro, even though I don't have an elite division anymore. Because but you can be like really, really competitive, or you could be a beginner, and like the atmosphere is just very welcoming and celebratory. And I think that's so important for like the everyday athlete. And I think because everybody needs that in their life, everybody
Yeah.
needs a goal to chase, and it's for everybody.
Yeah. And again, I can attest to that, being a slower runner. And I did a lot of walking last year, and there were plenty of people still out working the aid stations and
Oh
cheering us in. And it
yeah.
was so 100% can attest to that, which is one of the reasons that I love the Pumpkin Band. It's such a great event.
Yeah, thank
Um,
you.
all right. So you talked about your daughter. I'd like to know who was an inspiring woman or is an inspiring woman in your life.
So I have a lot of this is going to be an interesting answer. I have a lot of women in my life. But the one that I really want to aspire to is myself when I'm like 90. So
Ooh.
I want to like, yeah. So I'm always like, there's so many great books about, I don't know if you've ever heard of like, well, including yours, but the Be Your Future Self Now, and, making decisions today based on the person that you want to be like tomorrow. So I'm always like striving and making decisions based on who I want to be in the future. Like when this is going to sound a little silly, but like, when I don't feel like dragging myself out of bed to go to one of my favorite classes, even like one of my favorite classes, right, that I go to, I drag myself there, and I actually envision like faceless grandchildren. I know this is so silly, but like I picture being like super healthy and and super vibrant for them. So like I'm striving to be that woman, and I just want to make that woman proud.
Wow.
And I know it's like a
Not
little
silly at all. That's
okay.
really profound. No,
Yeah.
I think it's a very it is a position I never would have expected to hear. Day one, you like knocked it right out of the park. It just but
My future self is who I'm
yeah.
trying to, yeah. And every day I work at it. Like you have to stand guard at the door of your mind. And every day I am putting in the good, and trying to make decisions that will make me become that person that I'm trying to be.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh, I love that. Definitely it's inspiring, your own generation. And then everything
Mhm.
that you're doing obviously is inspiring the future generations through your own actions.
Mhm.
So that's really cool.
Mhm.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay. How does being a woman help
Mhm.
you serve your clientele, your athletes who come to the races? How do you think being a woman helps you serve them better?
Mhm. Well, I think being a woman, I think that women in general, and I hate making generalizations, but I feel like I have a lot of like empathy, and I can understand the experience, being, that I can understand the experience of people and what the experience I want them to have. And I'm very empathetic, and I can kind of put myself in their shoes and say, okay, well, what would they want and how they want to experience it, and what's going to be their journey, you know. So I think being a woman, and you don't have to be a mother, but I think by being a woman, you have, I don't know, I just feel like we're a little more connected. I think, not to say there aren't men that
For sure.
aren't, but I just feel like women in general are just like, we love to share. My
Well,
husband says that a
yeah,
lot.
yeah.
He's like, you guys are just sharers. I'm like,
Well,
I know, but
there's there's nature and nurture, right? So there's
yeah,
estrogen plays a part in that,
it
and
does. And
and
yeah,
also the way we nurture women to be empathetic. Um,
yeah,
we're really grateful that we do have some empathetic men in our lives as well. But
yeah,
that's again, I'm talking about like the influence of TV and social media and just
right.
society in general. There certainly is I've certainly witnessed, a tendency for people to assume that women are more empathetic, and that tendency to assume that almost becomes truth. Yeah,
Mhm.
a little bit of nature and nurture at the same time.
Yeah, so I think I have a good understanding of what people want, what they need, how they feel. I think if you asked anybody, I'm good about letting people defer if stuff happens, I mean, it's
Attest to that one too.
that's right. Whatever. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
yeah, yeah,
And I just think, I don't know, I just think it's and not to like, I also think I'm a good multitasker. That's more of a personality trait though, I think. Like,
yeah.
but to be a race director, you have to see everything from up here, and you can see it all happening all over. Like, it's almost like you see the entire event above the town
Yeah.
where we are, and you can see all the different pieces that are all the different moving parts going on at the same time, and 12 people talking to you in your ear, and you're just, okay, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, it does. There's a lot of moving parts to put on.
Hmm.
I'm
There are, but
working
a
on.
very good team. A
Yes. Yeah.
very, very good team.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm doing just an indoor triathlon, and it's a much smaller scale, but there's a lot of moving
There
parts.
is,
Sure, for sure.
especially when it's safety first, safety first, safety first.
You're here to that.
Yep.
All right, we've got about a minute left. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, I know we could talk all day long, but
Flies when you're having fun.
um, if you had 1 minute, which we've got 1 minute, so that works well. If you had 1 minute to teach something, to teach women something, what would it be? What would you leave us with?
Yeah. That you can literally figure anything out that you need to figure out. And don't let fear stop you. You can 100% look at something and go, okay, how can I reframe this? What little small step can I take right now to prove to myself that I can do it? And then just own it and be like, yep, I'm going to do it. And I can figure this out. Everything you can figure out. I really do feel that. I feel that you can figure everything out, and that the way, life is made up of how you react to everything.
Yeah.
It's always how you react. You can have the world falling apart, but how you see it is going to create your life.
We can even take this conversation as an example, right? When I logged
Mhm.
on, I had all the feedback going, and I could have freaked out and be like, no, this is not going to work, and run away. But you figure it out, right?
No.
You figure it
Mhm.
out. What's the
Mhm.
what's the worst thing that happens? It sounds a little funny at the beginning. Oh, wow.
And then
That's
exactly. It's okay. It's
authentic.
all learning. It's like, what am I
Exactly.
learning? What am I
Right.
learning? It's not failing, it's learning.
Figure it out, learn along the way. Awesome.
Mhm.
Well,
Mhm.
Rachel, I appreciate you taking some time
Of
to chat
course.
with us and share your different insights, and making Women's History Month a more inspirational moment
Uh,
for the rest of us. And
mhm.
keep doing great things. We're so proud of the Pumpkin Man, and we wish you guys
Yeah.
well. And we'll give another shout out to Run Try Bike for being the presenting sponsor this year,
Mhm.
uh,
Yep.
because it really helps for women everywhere to have support. Uh,
Mhm.
so that's
And
really
you're
great.
not alone. You're not
Yeah,
alone.
yeah, yeah. I was like,
Be
we have a
afraid.
whole bunch of women leaders ready to support each other, and
Mhm.
there are the guys that run Tri Bike. They're guys. There's one woman,
Mhm.
but they're a couple of guys, and they're supporting women. So thanks to all the guys out there who are
Yeah.
supporting us as well along this journey.
Mhm. For sure.
Oh,
Happy.
thanks so
Thank
much
you
for
for doing what
joining
you're
us.
doing. It's good
Oh,
stuff.
awesome. And we'll leave you with be well, be real, and keep moving forward. All right. Now I got to figure out how to end this again.
I think you hit stop recording.